Hello, welcome. We're here with Lizzie, who was on the SIT Development Languages and Politics program in Ecuador. Hi, thanks for joining us.
Hello, good to be here.
Great. So tell us about your experience in the program.
My experience was incredible, which I've been telling everyone since I got back. Um, One of my favorite parts was obviously the ISP, which was one of the reasons I chose the SIT program because it makes it unique and it's a great experience to have. So I did my ISP on the influences of highway construction on a small village in the Ecuadorian Amazon. But I lived for most of the time with a family in the city. So they split their time between the city and the small village. So I really got to see how that highway both helped them in terms of making their village more accessible, because before it took 8 hours to get there, and how it also brought in new ideas about how to live, how to raise your kids, and things like that. So that was one of my favorite parts about the program. But I also really liked the excursions, which we went to the Galapagos, we went to a cloud forest, and we also went to the Amazon and had rural homestays there. So those were all some of my favorite parts about the
Wow,
program.
excellent.
Yeah.
And on your independent study, when you were doing that, what did you find? So you were researching the impacts of the highway. Um, and did you get to interview people? How were you
I
getting your
did. That was the main way I found my information. And that was actually really neat. At first I was kind of nervous because I was like interviewing someone, both of us probably talking our second languages because their first language is Quechua, an indigenous language. So I was a little nervous about that, but that ended up being incredible because people just totally open up to me about like their whole lives. One night I was interviewing someone and he started telling me all these stories about his grandfather and like just things I never like. I didn't even have questions prepared. I didn't even know like what to say, but I was just jotting it all down and just so amazed that these people just share like very intimate details about their life with some foreigner from the United States. Like it was really incredible. Um,
Great. And tell us what you think makes this program unique.
Um, I think the experiential learning aspect of this program is definitely one of the components that makes it unique because um, it was really neat to see things that I had learned about, in textbooks and other ways in the classroom and kind of in another setting. So we'd be like on an excursion and our academic director would point out, oh, this tree is good for this. But then we would also get the really cultural aspects of it. And we got to interact so much with host nationals, which was really important to me because I wanted to get that intercultural, just being completely immersed in another culture. So I like the balance of having more of the academic, thinking about the politics, but also like it was just, we got learning on so many different levels, not just out of a textbook, which was what I thought made the program most unique.
Excellent. And tell us about the director.
Oh, Babo, the director, he was incredible. He really helped guide us through the process. We never felt like we were, we had tons of independence in, with our projects and our learning, but we never felt, or at least I never felt like I was stranded or like didn't know what was going on. He always, you know, walked us through everything. And we had really great discussions about the politics of Ecuador and everything like that. So that was a
Yeah,
really important component to me too.
nice. Yeah, he seems like a really sweet guy.
Yes, he's great.
Excellent. And tell us more about the homestay. You had a few different homestays.
Yes. So first, well, one of our homestays was unfortunately canceled, but it ended up working out because I got to spend even more time with my homestay in Quito. And so it was actually really neat because I had an older brother in my homestay who was studying law, just like my brother here in the States. So that was like a fun little comparison. We could talk about that. And both my parents in my homestay were lawyers, so they were really, it was amazing to see how they worked so hard. And my mom would wake up at 5 in the morning to start cooking lunch for us, and like that was really special. And then we also had our rural homestay, which three of us together stayed with one family. And that was also really special because the mom was the only one in the family who spoke Quechua, which is, like I said, one of the indigenous languages. So she really just opened up to us because I think we were like one of the first people that were just so interested in hearing about her life and her past, that she really opened up to us and shared a lot of things. So that was really special, even though it was only like a week. It was awesome.
Excellent. Um, and tell us about the classes for this program.
The classes are really great. I really like the development and politics class even more than I thought I would, because I wasn't too sure, because at my home institution I study environmental studies, so I thought I might be way out of my depth here. Like, I'm always interested in politics, but I didn't really know what to make of it. But I ended up really liking, we had lots of one of my favorite parts was we had lots of lecturers who would come in and talk about all the amazing things they do for like the social justice movements of Ecuador, and how they're basically like keeping some of the cultures alive and things like that. So that was one of my favorite parts, was having these really fascinating people come talk to us, and then being able to debrief and talk about how that relates to this reading and how that relates to what we saw on the street that morning and things like that. And
Great.
then, yeah, and then we also had the language course, which studied how the indigenous language Quechua is, how Spanish has influenced it, and how in the country people don't really respect it, and how that plays into the government and how they, what they make of the language. So that was really neat too.
Great. And what would you tell people about, it's a small group of Americans that you're with? Does it feel like that the whole time?
Yeah, initially I was a little like, I don't know if my Spanish will, get as good as it could with, national students, but I definitely I loved, first of all, I got so close to the other people in my program, which was incredible. So now I have friends all over the States, but also I definitely didn't feel like we were like a little bubble. Like, we definitely, between our host families and the ISP, where I didn't speak English for a month, like I definitely didn't feel like I was in a bubble. And it was actually good to have people that were like going through the same thing, like understand, like, oh my goodness, this happened to me, and things like that. So it was more of like a supportive aspect than something that held me back in any way. So I really liked having the other students.
Good. And what would you tell someone that's considering this program but not really sure if they should do a different type of program?
I would say go for it, because one of my favorite things was how much personal growth that this program promotes. Because if you had told me, like, even like 2 years ago or something, that I would be eating larvae and like just having crazy adventures, I would have told you there's no way. So it was definitely a really valuable experience to like push my comfort level, but still learn so much about myself, the country, and just meet so many incredible people. So
So what about the program helped push your comfort level, do you think?
um I don't know. I think just the fact, well, definitely that independent project definitely helped, because there I was taking a bus to, 5 hours away to a city where I didn't know anyone. That definitely helps. But they definitely, um, between the program directors and all our support staff and even the other students, we definitely helped each other um, take risks and kind of explore parts of ourselves that, I don't know, it's kind of harder to have that internal reflection when you're in the States and everything is so comfortable and you can understand everyone. I don't know. But it was just part of the growth.
Mm-hmm. Great. Excellent. Um, and what about the surroundings? Did you feel like it was a nice country to visit, because of the way it looked and
Oh yeah, I would say it was absolutely beautiful. At first, I was a little hesitant about the city because I'm definitely very much a like country girl and didn't grow up in the city or anything like that. But after living there and like you kind of like get your bearings and it's really quite beautiful. I loved all the mountains definitely, and on the excursions we got to see like there's like four big parts of Ecuador, so we got to see all of them, which was really neat. And it was just a really gorgeous country. So I was happy to have gotten the
excellent.
opportunity to visit. Yeah.
Yeah. And is there anything else you'd like to tell us before we conclude or
Um, I think that's everything. Just that I'm really grateful to have had such a wonderful experience, and I definitely would do it again if I had the opportunity. But it was very special, and yeah, that's about it. So
great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. This was really
yeah, no
helpful.
problem. Glad I could
And
help.
I'm glad you had such a good time. Yeah, I'm glad you had such a good time on the experience. I know that Fab was wonderful, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't doubt.
Yeah, it was good.
Great. And thank you so much for being the Facebook mentor and
Oh
being a
yeah.
mentor.
Yeah, no problem. I was like, well, I don't go back to school for another week and I'm very bored, so hopefully can help these people out
Yeah,
with their packing needs. I was like almost in denial like leading up to it. I was like, "Oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm going to do," but once I got there, I knew it's going to be okay.
great. Excellent. Okay, well, thank you so much for talking with us.
Yeah, no problem. Have a great rest of your afternoon.